Hello everyone, this is Derek Smith, your expert digital marketer, and today I'm going to talk to you in depth about how to create great content. This is going to be a step-by-step guide that's going to help you with your content marketing that's going to deliver real results for you. Okay? So, I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide to planning and implementing your content marketing strategy. According to the Content Marketing Institute, 70% of business-to-business marketers say that they are creating more content now than ever before. I mean, of course, everybody's online, but in 2018, they're showing that they're kicking this up even more so. You need to be doing the same thing too. While pretty much every small business and startup understands the value of content marketing, it can be a scary thought for you to dive right in. Your competitors or the people you look up to are regularly posting long-form, in-depth blog posts, launching podcasts, doing YouTube videos, and things like that. And it can seem overwhelming to you. So today, I'm hoping to get rid of some of that pressure you're feeling and simplify the process for you to create foolproof content marketing and a strategy for doing so. Now, a content marketing strategy is a roadmap that not only tells you what you're going to create, but also how you're going to create it, how you're going to distribute it, and ultimately how you're going to attract, retain, and convert readers and followers into customers. And isn't that what we're all trying to do? So each part of your content marketing has its own unique nuances and things like that and details that you won't want to miss. And I'm going to tell you how to do those here today in this video. So let's look at each part of the process and then go into even deeper dive on how I personally do content marketing for different clients and for my own companies that I have. And then I'm going to show you how to create content marketing strategies. So number one, first you have to define your content marketing goal. So before you look at what you're going to create, you need to answer what you're going to make and why you're making it. All content starts with some type of goal in mind. And then how are you going to measure the success of your campaign? Is it going to be with traffic? Is it going to be new subscribers? Is it going to be apps downloaded, conversions, social shares and engagement, your video views, podcast downloads? What is it going to be? Is it your sales? One of my favorite authors is Seth Godin, and he explains the importance of understanding your why early on. What Seth said was you have the freedom to make these choices at the beginning when they're free, when they're fast, and when they're easy. Not later on when you've made commitments to other people and to yourself. So it's easy for you to get caught up in all the tactics of content marketing, but without a unifying strategy, a strong why as to why you're doing this, no matter what you create, it's going to fall flat. So understanding your goal early on is going to guide other important decisions as you develop your content marketing strategy, such as what are you making? Where are you going to distribute your content? As Golden explained, your strategy is like building a ship. You need to know where it's going to sail before you start nailing planks of wood together. Matching what you build to where you put it is more important than what you build in the first place. That's why I need to start by understanding what it is that I'm doing, what it's for. You need to do the same thing. What are you building this for? When I'm building out a content strategy for myself or my business, I have a speaking business and a cybersecurity trading business. I always start in the exact same place. That means defining my ultimate goal and backing into my small mini wins that ladder up to the big picture achievement that I'm trying to achieve. So most often with content marketing, that ultimate goal is email signups for me or free trial signups for you or whatever you may have. Essentially attracting new customers to my blog or to your blog content, then converting them into email subscribers who can later be warmed up into paying customers is what we're trying to achieve. Once you have this larger goal in place, it's easier for you to determine based on your average conversion rates how many readers or listeners or viewers, users you need to attract to the content that you're publishing in order to hit your sign up goal. Now, the number of people you need to bring to your blog is your traffic goal. And in order to bring in enough of the right traffic to hit your conversion rates, you need to know how to promote your content landing syndications to publications, getting mentions in major industry blogs, having influencers share with their followers, and so on down the line. Now, it's not an exact science per se, but the more you execute, build a portfolio of content and promote it, the more you see what your baseline returns on content marketing are, and you can make tweaks and experiment moving forward. Number 2, research and understand your audience. Once you have a clear connection to why you're making content, the next step in building out your content marketing is to understand exactly who is going to see, hear, or watch the content that you create. So effective content is not produced in a vacuum from a list of topics you personally want to write or talk about. It's made out in the open with the involvement, the feedback, and the direction of your audience. The best content marketing strategy is designed to answer the most pressing questions your target audience has, or to educate them, and of course to transform them. However, the only way your content will connect enough with people to have them share it and help you reach your goals is for you to speak directly to them. You need to have empathy and understanding for their situation. The first step is to understand the demographics and the psychographics of your ideal audience. Demographics are the quantitative traits, or the things you can really dig into and measure. Think about age, gender, location, job title, things like that. For example, you might say you want your content marketing to speak to executives aged 30 to 45 or 20-something job seekers just out of college, or whatever your audience may be. Psychographics are the things we can't measure. Attributes like their attitude, their belief systems, their values, and their interests. So in my example that I just gave about the executives who are 30 to 45, I could go a step further and say that my content speaks to executives who want to take their business to the next level but can't find a way. Or maybe that they believe in hard work and doing the right thing and value family and strong morals. From that, I'm going to create my audience persona. So now let's talk about audience personas, the fictional generalized representation of your ideal customers. These personas are constructed with the goal of internalizing who your ideal customer is, and it gives you an idea of how to relate to these people as real humans. For each of the audience personas you're creating, write out their demographic and their psychographic attributes on a bulleted list before you start your marketing. Next, you want to go and you want to visualize exactly who this person is. I suggest using a stock photography site like Unsplash or Pexels to find a photo of the person you've described, so you can have someone you can talk to. It might seem a bit silly to you, but this will seriously help you solidify your vision and create more of a connection between you and your ideal audience. Lastly, you want to take that photo, the bulleted list, and write a story about that person in paragraph form. That really describes the environment and the feelings that your persona lives in. Give them a name and describe their day-to-day activities. You want to look at how does your content not only fit in, but get found and recognized by this person that you're visualizing. You want to look at, are they searching for it on Google, or do they use community sites like Quora or Reddit to answer questions and get ideas? Are they heavy Facebook users, or do they spend most of the time on apps like Snapchat? Or maybe they don't spend much time online at all and they prefer attending in-person events, industry conferences, group discussions, and things like that. Your goal is to be present where your audience already exists. So these are the critical questions that you have to address during your early days of your content marketing so that you can maximize your opportunities for getting your content in front of your ideal audience, where they're already spending their time. This is also a core tenet of the advice I've gleaned from some of the best business books I've read over the years. Also, it's important to remember that you can have more than one audience. While you don't want your ideal audience to be too broad and too diverse, especially in the early days of your business, because readers might get confused on to what your solution is and what you're trying to do. However, as long as you understand who your audience is and go through this step, you can create your great content for them to be able to read. Step number 3, set up your blog if you don't already have one. It's time to move from the tactical to the technical part of your content marketing. If you haven't set up a blog or found a place to host the content you're going to create, now is the time to do it. The good news is that you have options. Luckily, there's a ton of great and easy options for setting up your own website that go from ready-to-use platforms to fully customizable templates. But before I start, I need to answer an age-old question for you about content production. Do you want to build your own platform, or do you want to use somebody else's platform? What I mean is, do you want to build your own blog on a WordPress powered blog, which I personally do and also recommend to you, or do you want to go through a ready-to-go content management system like Squarespace, or do you want to simply host your content on an external domain like Medium, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts? The bad news is there are pros and cons to each of these different avenues that I just talked about. So while building your own site gives you the flexibility and the freedom to make it exactly how you want, it also means a more upfront and ongoing time investment and potential developmental costs for you. You're also starting with no audience, so that can make it tough to get you and your content noticed in the first place. Now, on the other hand, using a pre-existing platform like Medium or YouTube and Apple Podcasts for publishing your content means less customization, but easier startup costs, especially when it comes to time investment if you never used WordPress before. Now, this route also means instant access to an audience that's already present and actively looking for your content. However attractive that sounds, though, keep in mind that you're not in control of what that platform does in the future, which means they could get purchased, it could be hacked, you can change your policies, or even shut down any day that they choose. In the end, the choice is yours. However, I'm personally biased towards starting from your own blog domain from day one. That's why I always recommend new startups to kick their content off with a WordPress powered blog. I have many WordPress blogs that I use. Number 4, you want to update your current content if you've already been publishing. There's never a bad time to reevaluate your content marketing and shift gears if something isn't working. If you've already been writing or producing other types of content for a little while, now is a great time to bring your published content into the style of your new content marketing approach. To do this, you need to know exactly what kind of content types you're going to produce. Now, I'm not talking about just the format, whether that's blog posts or videos or podcasts, but rather which topics are you going to produce on a consistent basis. I call these content pillars, topics that'll be the foundation of your blog. For example, if you're building a finance blog, your core content pillars might be personal finance tips and tricks, interviews and stories about people who found financial freedom, industry news and what it means to you, finance basics, things like that. With these pillars in place, you want to make sure you're hitting 3 content types. Engagement is the first one, content that's meant to start a conversation, like your own opinion on a particular topic. Or evergreen, content that's based around key terms for your business and that you can refer back to and update for years to come. Or number 3, events, content around a particular event or occurrence, like some big piece of news or industry event. If you have content already published, go through it and see if it fits into your content marketing direction. Does it speak to your audience and work towards your goals? If not, can you update it or change it, or should you scrap it altogether? Number 5 is start building an email list and know how you're going to use it. Whatever content you're creating, you want to put it in front of the right people. But before I get into distribution, leveraging social media and all of that, I need to talk about the most important piece of your content distribution puzzle, and that's email. Email lets you communicate directly to your subscribers and get you into their inboxes, where so many of us spend countless hours every week. Starting early with list building is a great way for you to amplify the content that you're creating. So which tools do you need to do that? Well, first of all, you need an email service provider that's going to allow you to send emails. I use Aweber for mine. I'm recommending Aweber. You can use, I think it's MailChimp, and there's a lot of them out there, so you can do your own research. But you use it to build and maintain your subscriber list and check reports and analytics on how your campaigns are doing. An internet service provider also will help you make sure that your emails stay out of spam folders and keep your list healthy and in check, and make sure you're adhering to all the relevant laws around emails. Like I said before, there's a lot of options, but some of the most popular ones for marketers and also with low startup costs are, again, Aweber, which I use on a daily basis, MailChimp, which I already mentioned. But the problem with MailChimp is that if you use their free plan, you're going to only have up to 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully you'll have more than that soon. They have another one that's pretty good called ConvertKit. You have Campaign Monitor, and you have something called Active Campaign. So like any tool decision, it can always be changed or it can be undone later on if it's not working out for you. All right, if you wait a month, see how it's working. If it's not working, go on to something else. And each one of these email service providers do a great job of making migration easy for you if you decide to change over. My advice, choose the cheapest option that gives you the bare minimum functionality you need right now in order to achieve your email goals, and then move on as you have to. You can always switch things up and move over to a tool with more options in the future. So let's look at what is the goal of your emails. Your strategy for email marketing needs to relate back to your business goals. What you're trying to accomplish for your business over the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months or even a year down the road should really dictate what you're doing in your email campaigns and newsletters. Some of the goals you could be trying to hit with your email strategy could be brand awareness. It could be awareness about your products, loyalty to your company and your brand, and things like that, as well as driving people to your website to consume your content. And remember, this is about content marketing. What content should your emails include? The content you're creating for your blog is a great place to start with what you could send to your email subscriber list. Take that content and use parts of it to create email campaigns that's going to drive people back to your blog to read the rest of the post, watch the full video, or listen to the entire podcast episode. Let's look at what types of emails you should send. There are three main types of emails you can send to your list in a way that supports your content marketing goals. Number one are general campaigns and newsletters. These are sent to your full list. They're great when you're just starting out and your list isn't really large, as you know that pretty much everybody on your list wants to hear about your company and the content that you're releasing. Number two is communication that gets sent to targeted segments on your list. As you grow, you want to make sure you're sending the right messages to the right groups of people on your list. Your email service provider should let you select segments based on demographic information or what links they've clicked on in the past, so you can send more targeted campaigns to your audience. And number three is automated messaging. These are the messages you're going to send out to multiple people over time. Think welcome emails, or delivering an e-course, or a list of your top content that you're producing. Next, you look at how often should you send emails to your list. There's no hard and fast rules about sending once a week or once a month or even once a day. Rather, how often you send is going to depend on how much time you have to spend on email and how often you have news or valuable new content you want to share. As you're getting started, aim for at least one email a month. You want to be consistent and you want to be talking to your subscribers as often as you can without overwhelming them. And you also don't want to go 4, 5, or 6 months without them hearing from you, because they're likely to forget how they even got into your email list in the first place, and your chances of getting marked as spam is going to increase significantly. Number 6 is brainstorm ideas and do keyword research. All right, at this point, you know your why that you're creating content and who your audience is. You also have a blog set up and your email service provider is ready to go. Now is finally time to talk about the actual content you're going to create and how it's going to align with your content marketing goals. You probably have a ton of ideas for posts you can write or videos that you can film at this point. However, that initial excitement can wear out quickly when other things get in the way. I know, because I have a full-time job. I have 11-year-old twins. I teach college courses at 3 universities. I have my full-time job that I still maintain. I have my cybersecurity business and my digital marketing business, so I know how easy it is to become distracted and go off into something else. But great marketers set their own agenda, so you need to create a content marketing editorial calendar that isn't reactionary, rather one that's filled with repeatable content that's directly tied to your business goals. Your pillar posts or content types that I discussed earlier will help tell you the kinds of posts you're going to write, but what about the actual specific content that's going to be in each one? First, you have to turn to keyword search. When you're taking a look at your audience, you want to take a look at the folks that you know are in the group you want to target and you ask them what are they searching for today that they can't successfully find or aren't being exposed to on their own. Once you start thinking about your audience's need, there's a 5-step process for coming up with the specific topics and keywords your audience is going to be looking for. This is going to be the foundation of your content marketing approach. Number one, I'm going to tell you brainstorm topics and terms. Start by writing down as many ideas of terms or topics your audience is interested in. It's good to involve people who work directly with your users at this point, like a customer service or a sales representative. Number two is use a keyword search tool to gather results. Now it's time to plug those terms into a tool like Google's Keyword Planner or Moz or keywordtool.io or any other to see what comes up. Number three is expand and refine your list. Take the big list and refine or group them together. What looks good? What doesn't make sense to your business goals? Things like that. Number four is build a spreadsheet and prioritize terms. Now it's time to get organized. Build a spreadsheet with the data you got into your tool or with the data you got from your tool, such as the keyword, estimated search volume, difficulty and opportunity, and assign a priority to each one of those, which is most important to your particular business. And then number five, outline content that hit the 3 key needs that you were able to find. Take your top terms and outline content that's going to serve your goals, the user's needs, and the keyword targeting that you're looking for. This is the trifecta of killer SEO-friendly content. My final piece of advice in this area is make sure you're not just aiming to match the content you see ranking number 1, but blowing it out of the water. You want to do better than what you see out there. What's the thing where when you read the first few search results, you say, this is great, but I wish they would whatever, okay? If you have great answers to that question, don't ask, how do we make something as good as this? But say, how do we make something 10 times better than any of these things that we see already in our search results? That's the bar that's been set because it's so competitive to try to rank for terms today. Number 7 is decide which format of content you want to produce. Blog posts, videos, podcasts, infographics, they all have their place in your content strategy, and it's up to you to see how to use those things. What's non-negotiable, however, is that they tell a story. Going back to Seth Godin, one of my favorite marketers, he says that marketing is the act of telling a story to people who want to hear it and making that story so vivid and so true that the people who hear it want to tell other people. To hit that mark, Godin says there are 4 qualities your content needs to have. Number 1, it has to have emotion. What emotion do you want people to feel when they read your content? It has to change people. How are you changing people with your product or your content? Does that emotion change them in a way that helps your brand? Number 3 is alert. Once you've changed people, how do you build a privilege of being able to tell them when you have something new? And number 4 is share. How can you get people to tell each other about your products, about your content? With that in mind, let's take a look at the specifics of putting together some of the most popular content forms: blog posts, videos, and podcasts. Now, my favorite two that I use on a daily basis are my blog posts and videos like this one. So, let's look at blogging as content marketing. Blog posts are a great place to start with your content marketing, as they have the lowest barrier to entry by far. You don't need a designer or a special equipment to get into blogging. Just start writing and you're ready to go. Here's my tips on how to build a blog post. Start with an outline. Start with just a skeleton of what you want to say. This means having a few lines for your intro and why people should care about your topic in the first place, as well as outlining the main points or the subheaders you're going to use throughout the post. Read through this. Does it make sense? Does your outline quickly answer what, why, how, and where? Number 2 is add the meat. These are the details, the statistics, the quotes, the images, and the case studies that you want to use. If you're making claims in your post, you need to back it up. Use Google to find statistics about your topic. And when you link out to studies or references, those are great people to reach out to later when you're distributing your content. Next is one up the competition. At this point, you've got a good post, but not a great post. Take the next step and see what the competition is doing. What's the number 1 result for your topic, and how can you make yours better? Can you go more in depth? Can you add more images or resources to it? Next is write a great headline. The last and almost most important part of writing is your headline. You only click on things that catch your eye when you're scrolling through social media, and your audience is doing the same thing. There are great resources on writing headlines on places like Copyblogger and QuickSprout and things like that. And the last piece here is add an effective featured image. People love images, and adding a featured image before the post has been shown to give you 18% more clicks, 89% more favorites, and 150% more retweets on Twitter alone. Check out sites like Unsplash for better than stock photos, and then use a tool like Canva to add extra elements like text or icons to those photos. Let's look at video as content marketing. According to recent research I've done, 51% of marketing professionals worldwide name video as the type of content with the best return of investment, while social video generates 1,200% more shares than text and images combined. However, making videos can seem like a monumental task if you're used to watching the highly produced content from people that you see on YouTube that have entire teams dedicated to producing this content. You need specialized gear, a studio, lighting, sound, and all that, right? Well, not exactly. If you watch cooking recipes or do-it-yourself how-to videos online, you know how simple an engaging video can be to create. Present what you're going to make, the ingredients, process, and end result all in 60 seconds or less. Here's the thing, unlike this video I'm doing right now, you might want to keep it short. Keep it under 60 seconds at the most. If you can keep it under 30 seconds, you're killing it. Have a plan. Think about your ingredients or props you need, or how you're going to show the steps that you have. Next is use hand signals to communicate to your users. You probably know I do hand signals all the time. In the case of cooking videos, the majority of videos are watched without sound. So think of other ways to communicate what the user needs to know. Next, use your tools. Many use something called a hyperlapse tool, box to store our videos, and a video stand, which you can create with something as simple as 2 stacks of books, or something like that with a plank across it. Or you can just buy an inexpensive stand like I have from Amazon or something like that. Place your camera on the edge of that plank or on that stand that I have, and fire up your camera application. Next, gather your resources. Either bring them in one at a time or have them all laid out in your center stage that you're making your film on. And this is about cooking. I'm using cooking as an example. Start with a compelling image, either an impressive finished product to arouse interest, or some unconventional ingredients that you have in that recipe that you're using. Don't worry about it being perfect. Do-it-yourself videos go viral every single day. If you can tell a compelling story in a short amount of time, it doesn't matter if you shot it on your iPhone or a professional camera. Now, let's look at podcasting as content marketing. Podcasts are super hot right now as a content format, and for good reason. It can fuel your content marketing with relatively low effort compared to writing massive blog posts like I often do. Plus, with how busy your audience is, giving them a way to passively listen to your content is fantastic for lowering the barrier of entry. However, like video, you're probably thinking you need all sorts of specialized gear and skills. And yes, audio is a whole other beast, but you can get started with just a little bit of effort. Here's some tips for podcasting. First, pick your topic or your niche. If you already know your audience and your topic, this should be a no-brainer for you. However, you want to find some specific niche of your topic to get people interested. There are currently over 100,000 podcast shows out there right now, so you have to get specific. A few tools to help you research niches are cast.market is one, cast.market. That's a research page for podcasts. iTunes charts. You can look at that to see what's popular and where there are gaps out there. Or even Google Trends. Find a topic that you can make your cohesive topic that's going to bond just about everything that you write or that you produce videos about all together. Next is gather your tools. A basic podcasting setup consists of a microphone. Here's my microphone here. You guys can see that. And software for recording your voice. This can range from as simple as your built-in mic, which I don't recommend due to poor sound quality, to an external USB mic like the one I have. This is a Yeti that I use. You can have an audio interface. You can have professional recording software. So again, personally, I use the Yeti microphone that cost me about $125, but it's a really good microphone that I got from Amazon. It has awesome audio quality for the price that I paid for it. It's not so small, but it's small enough and portable enough that makes it good for me to take it if I happen to be on the go. Next is find your guests or outline your own episodes. If you're doing an interview style show, you now want to start getting some guests involved. You can use your existing social network to reach out to people you already know or are connected with on Twitter and Facebook if you want to start that way. You can also head to Medium or Amazon to find authors or experts on topics specific to your niche. Once you've gathered a list, put together a template outreach email that you use for them, because you're going to be doing this over and over again. And that outreach email needs to be short and clear with the expectations you have for these people. Tell them who you are, what your podcast is about, and what you're asking them to do. Next is edit your podcast. Audio editing is a form of art. So luckily, there are a lot of different affordable options out there for hiring a sound engineer. I use Camtasia to audit all my videos. You can get a podcast producer out there who can stitch your episodes together for you. To start, all you really need is 4 files. Your main interview, your introduction, your outro, and some type of jingle or music. Next, you upload those files to Google Drive or the Dropbox. Now, the last step here is upload and promote. So congratulations, you now have a podcast episode that's ready to be uploaded to iTunes or SoundCloud or anywhere else, and then promoted alongside the rest of your content. Be sure to give your guests some copy and paste social copy that they can use to promote their episode, and it helps immensely if you have visually appealing graphics to go along with it. Number 8 is outline which topics you're going to experiment with. So now that you've got your content together, how are you going to promote and distribute it? You have to be productive with your marketing efforts, because if no one sees or listens to or reads your content that you put so much time into creating, was it even worth you writing in the first place? First, you want to find your competition-free content. With so much competition in the content and social media spaces, it's important for you to find your what we call blue ocean opportunities, places where you're not fighting with existing markets and you can do your best work. You want to ask yourself, how can you create content that's free from your competition so that what you're creating stands out and is actually impactful and meaningful to your targeted audience? Here's some tips for you. Observe your competitors. What are they doing? Where are they publishing? And how are they using email? Understand what your customers are already seeing. Search relevant topics on Google. I talked about that before. Look at the top 10 results and see what's there. How long is the content? What images are being used? What's consistent or stands out about that content? Ask yourself, what are you and your team really good at? What are the patterns that your competition is falling into that you can disrupt? Are there people in your audience that you aren't serving? What have you created that you're the most proud of? From these 3 steps, you should be able to start seeing opportunities where you can excel that aren't already crammed with competition. Prioritize 10x opportunities. Another tactic that's crucial to content marketing is to always prioritize the highest impact content. I call this the 10x versus the 10% test. Which opportunities could potentially provide 10 times the growth to your audience size, traffic, or subscribers versus just 10%? To do this, there's another simple 3-step process. First, dump all your ideas onto a board. There's no bad ideas here. Just let it all out. Put it out there so you won't forget it. Number 2 is bringing the rest of your team, if you have one, to help. With your team, identify all the real 10x opportunities and put them into one column. And number 3, rank the difficulty of your 10x opportunities on a scale of 1 to 3. If you have a 10x opportunity with only a level 1 difficulty, you should jump on that right away and prioritize that with your content marketing strategy. At this point, you know what you should be focusing the most time on. But remember, your 10% ideas aren't bad, so don't throw them out. There could be a time in the future when they do become a higher return activity. They just don't have the same potential impact today, and therefore should be a low priority in your overall content marketing strategy right now. But you want to go back and regularly revisit your idea board to reevaluate priorities and to stay on your toes. Number 9 is use social media to promote your content. Pretty much impossible these days to separate your content marketing strategy from your social media strategy. I love social media because, to be frank with you and forgive my French, it sells shit. Social media has become an integral part of getting your content in front of the right people. But you need to do more than just post to Facebook and Twitter once or twice. There's a strategy out there called jab, 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 right hook. And it's one of the best overall sales advice that I've ever seen that's out there. Your goal or your job is to give as much value as possible that you can basically guilt people into buying what you're selling. So when you finally ask them to buy what you're selling, they do. What this comes down to is not simply talking about your content and asking people to click a link or subscribe to your newsletter. Instead, you need to show that you're a trustworthy source of educational resources and earn their attention for when you do ask for something in return. At the core of your content marketing needs to be the belief that it's a long-term, lifetime investment in building your worth. Moving from the big picture of social media to the actual aspect of building posts, I have a process for that too. First of all, find your voice. What are the words and graphics and visuals that you're going to post in the first place? Are you going to be quirky like they do in MailChimp? Or are you going to be more buttoned up like IBM or Cisco and the things that they do? Next is choose what platforms you're going to use. When you're just starting out, you simply can't and shouldn't be on every single platform. Pick what makes the most sense for your brand and where your audience is most likely to hang out. You got to look at, does that mean Facebook or Snapchat? For me, I like doing YouTube videos and I like doing a blog, and that's why I find people looking for the type of information that I share with you. Next is generate platform-specific content. You can both create original content from your blog posts or curate other people's content like relevant links or videos. Both have their place and should be part of your strategy. Every platform has its own nuances and subtleties to how they get used and how people share them. Next is set your social media stack. What tools are you going to use to support your social media strategy? I use some called Hootsuite for planning posts in advance and making sure that I have all the content that I need. You can use Trello. Canva and Pablo are there for making graphics, and Buffer or Hootsuite, like I said, could be there also used for scheduling your posts to go out at the right time frames. Finally, number 10 is use paid ads to get extra eyes on your content. These days, a lot of social media platforms are moving to pay-to-play models, meaning if you have a huge following and great engagement, you've got to pony up some ad dollars to get your content seen by everybody. When you're just starting out and building a new content strategy, it's probably a little scary to invest in paid ads. More than $72 billion was spent on social ads in 2017 alone. And that number is expected to rise to $113 billion by 2020. But you don't have to throw huge chunks of cash at social media to get a return. Instead, $5 is all you need to start experimenting, especially with channels like Facebook ads. And $5 ads, that's pretty much what I do. Reach a couple 100,000 people per day. Next is define your goals when it comes to paid ads. Paid ads all come down to working people from the top of your marketing funnel, where they haven't heard of your brand yet, through the middle of it, and finally the bottom where you ask for the sale and they hopefully become a customer. So start by asking yourself, who is my audience and what is my goal with that audience? Is it to run an awareness campaign for your top of funnel audience and build your brand awareness, or are you going after people who already know who you are and asking them to click through to a blog post or a landing page? Next is targeting. You need to decide who's going to see your ad. Targeting is the whole reason why social media marketing works as well as it does in the first place. Targeting capabilities are at an unprecedented level. Social media networks like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest give you an incredible wealth of information about your customers, which lets you create highly targeted ads that are also tailored to your audience. Next is budgeting. As I said before, you don't need a big budget to be successful with social media marketing or advertising. In fact, you can start with as little as $5 a day, which I'm still at. When you're starting with a small budget, you want to focus on your top of funnel audience, as they're cheaper to get in front of. You're not asking for a sale or a click. You're simply getting them to see your brand and engage with you. Once you move from that stage, you start to look at things like cost per click, or CPC we call it, meaning how much are you willing to spend for someone to click on your ad, or cost per thousand, we call that CPM views. Next is copies and visuals. Finally, it's time to put your actual ad together. For this, there are 4 elements you need to include. Element number 1 is knowing what you want your ad to say. As in, what emotion do you want your audience to feel when they see your ad? Do you want them to be in shock? Or do you want them to be delighted? Or do you want to intrigue them? You have to figure out what it is you want to do. Number 2 is, how do you want your ad to look? Is it a video? Is it a stock image? Is it just text? What colors are you going to use in it? And is it on a brand? If not, what brand do you want to use? Next is, what action do you want your audience to take? Where should they go after seeing your ad? To a landing page? To a blog post? You have to decide that. And finally here, where do you want your ad to be placed? Is this an ad for mobile users or desktop users? Is it in their news feeds or someone else? You have to question yourself and ask those questions and answer them. Now, with all this stuff I said and on this long video, you should know pretty much everything you need to plan and execute a killer content marketing plan for 2018. Remember, your content marketing will only be effective if you have a plan. So let's go out there and get to it. And remember, if you're ready to get started with your content marketing strategy today, then go over and visit my blog, Expert Online Digital Blog, and you will be able to learn much, much more. Thank you very much.